All right, so we're diving deep into prepping for a Gravure Press Operator interview. And RoleCatcher has a ton of resources to help you get ready. We've got career guides, interview guides, and even AI tools to really fine-tune those answers.
Yeah, it's like having a whole team in your corner getting you prepped and confident.
Think of this deep dive as your secret weapon to
Absolutely.
land that job.
A lot of people might think that being a Gravure Press operator is just, pressing buttons, but
Oh,
it's so much more than that. You really need to understand the whole process.
yeah.
From pre-press to quality control, even troubleshooting on the fly.
It's like you're a printing ninja.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you've got to keep those massive presses running smoothly. It's a blend of technical skill and creative problem solving.
that's for sure. So let's jump right into RoleCatcher's interview guide. The first question up is, can you explain your experience with gravure printing technology? Seems straightforward enough, but how do you make your answer really stand out?
So the interviewer, they want to know that you're not just there for a paycheck. They want to see your passion, that you really geek out about this stuff. So instead of just listing the machines you've used, tell them about the cool things you've printed.
I like that.
Like, have you worked on those glossy magazines or those intricate package designs?
Man,
Or maybe even like large-scale wallpaper with crazy patterns?
that's a good one.
Bring those experiences to life and your passion will definitely come through.
Okay, so that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about those follow-up questions? What if they start digging deeper into the specifics of the technology?
That's where all your prep work comes in handy. You got to be ready to discuss those different types of gravure presses you've worked with, the specific cylinder engraving processes, those things.
Yeah.
Even like the ins and outs of how the ink gets transferred. Don't be afraid to get a little technical. That's how you show them,
Yeah.
your
She's
stuff.
showing off your printing muscles.
Uh-huh, exactly.
All right, let's move on to question number 2. How do you ensure the quality of the printed products?
Okay.
This one feels like it's all about the details, those tiny things that make a huge difference.
Oh, it totally is. This is your chance to really shine as a quality control superstar. So think about the steps you take during the process to make sure every single detail is perfect.
Okay.
Maybe you have like a super organized system for checking the ink or making sure those colors are registered perfectly.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have like an eagle eye for catching those little imperfections, those tiny misalignments that most people wouldn't even notice.
Wow.
Share those examples that really highlight how meticulous you are.
I'm already starting to see how much precision goes into this.
Mhm.
What kind of follow-up questions could they ask you to really test your knowledge here?
They might get into specifics about quality control tools and techniques, like those densitometers for measuring ink density or spectrophotometers for, that super precise color analysis. They might even give you a hypothetical problem, like, oh no, this print is messed up, and see how you would troubleshoot it. This is your chance to show off those problem-solving skills.
Okay, so it's like they're testing your printing detective skills.
Exactly.
All right, on to question 3. Can you explain your experience with pre-press operations? Now, pre-press might sound like a behind-the-scenes step, but it's obviously crucial for getting those images ready to print.
Oh, it is. It's like the foundation of a house. You can't have a great final product without that solid pre-press stage. So this is where you got to show off your knowledge of industry standard software.
Oh, like Adobe Creative Suite and all that.
Yep. Talk about your understanding of file formats, resolution, color management, all those technical bits that make sure the jump from the digital design to the printing press goes smoothly.
So it's more than just hitting print.
Way more.
Any advice for handling those tough follow-up questions about pre-press software or all the techniques involved?
Be prepared to discuss your experience with things like color correction, image retouching, creating those separations for different color channels.
Right.
And if you've used any specialized pre-press software or specific workflows, definitely mention those. They want to see that you're comfortable in the digital world of printing.
Okay, so next up, how do you troubleshoot issues with the printing process? This one seems like it's a test of your problem-solving skills under pressure. After all, those presses are super complex and things don't always go as planned.
You got it. This question is all about showing them you can stay calm, think logically, and find solutions when things get a little crazy. Walk them through your process.
Okay.
Like when a problem pops up, where do you start? Do you check the ink levels, pressure settings? Do you look at the printed output for any clues? Share a specific example of a time you totally nailed a troubleshooting situation.
It's like being a printing detective, piecing together clues to solve the mystery of a misbehaving press. What if they throw you a curveball and ask about a problem you've never even seen before?
Even if you don't have the answer right away, you can still impress them with your thinking process. Explain how you would approach it, what resources you'd use, and the steps you'd take to gather information and find that solution. Show them you've got a system.
Makes sense. Okay, this next one's about color, which feels like a pretty crucial part of the job. Can you explain your experience with color management? It seems like you need that technical know-how and a really good eye for detail.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. Color management is both an art and a science in printing. Be ready to talk about color theory, color spaces, those calibration techniques.
Yeah.
Highlight your experience with different color systems like Pantone and CMYK. And don't forget to mention any special software or tools you've used.
So it's not just about knowing your colors, it's about mastering how to get those colors consistently on the press. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask to really dive into your color expertise?
They might ask about specific color calibration procedures or how you've handled color variations when you're printing on different materials, or maybe how you've worked with clients to hit that exact color they want.
Yeah.
Be prepared to talk about challenges you faced and how you overcame them. Like maybe you had to adjust the color settings mid-print to match a specific Pantone shade, or you worked with a designer to create a totally custom color profile.
Wow, it sounds like color accuracy is a huge responsibility for a Gravure Press Operator.
All right, let's shift gears to a question that might not be as glamorous, but is super important. Can you explain your experience with press maintenance? Those presses are the heart of the operation, so keeping them in top shape has got to be crucial. Oh, it's like the unsung hero, you know? Keeping those presses humming along is key, and this is where you get to show them how proactive you are about it. Talk about all those routine tasks you do, like cleaning and lubrication, making sure nothing's getting too worn out. And don't just say you do them. Explain why those tasks are so important for maintaining print quality and, preventing those breakdowns that nobody wants.
It's like giving those massive machines a little spa day to keep them running smoothly.
Yeah.
What if they ask about a specific maintenance challenge you faced? Like something that really put your skills to the test?
Be ready to share some stories that highlight your awesome problem-solving skills. You know those moments where you saved the day? Maybe you noticed a weird sound and realized a bearing was about to go before it caused a huge mess. Or maybe you went the extra mile to learn a whole new maintenance procedure just to boost the press's performance. Real-world examples like that show them you're not just reactive, you're proactive.
I like it. All right, let's move on to a topic that's super important in any industrial setting. Can you explain your experience with safety procedures in a printing environment? This feels like it's not just about knowing the rules, but having that safety-first mindset.
You're totally right. The interviewer wants to see that you're a champion for safety. Not just someone who follows the rules because they have to. Share specific times when you spotted a potential hazard and, stepped up to fix it. Did you ever see a colleague using equipment the wrong way and show them the right way to do it? Or maybe you saw a spill and cleaned it up right away to prevent an accident? Those proactive actions really speak volumes about your commitment to safety.
So it's about being observant and taking initiative. What about those specific safety protocols or equipment? Should we be brushing up on those too?
Absolutely. Be prepared to talk about your knowledge of personal protective equipment, all the gear like gloves, goggles, hearing protection, and why they're so crucial in this environment. You should also know those emergency procedures, lockout, tagout protocols for the machines, and all those safety regulations that are specific to the printing industry.
Safety first always. Okay, this next question probably comes up in a lot of interviews, not just for Gravure Press Operators. Can you explain your experience with working under tight deadlines? Printing jobs often have super quick turnarounds, so how do you convince them you can handle the pressure?
The key is to show them you don't just meet deadlines, but you do it without sacrificing quality. Share those strategies you use to stay organized and manage your time like a pro. Do you break down big tasks into smaller steps? Do you prioritize based on what's most urgent? Do you use any project management tools or techniques? Whatever your approach is, make sure you highlight your ability to work efficiently and maintain that high level of accuracy even when the clock is ticking.
So a calm head and a systematic approach are essential in the fast-paced printing world.
Got it. Now let's talk about teamwork. Can you explain your experience with working in a team environment? Printing is a collaborative effort, so how do you show off your ability to work effectively with others?
Don't just say you're a team player. Everyone says that. Share those specific examples of how you've been a valuable part of a team and contributed to success. Maybe you took the initiative to train a new colleague on a particular press procedure, or you worked together with a team to troubleshoot a really tricky printing problem. Highlight those communication skills, your ability to really listen to others, and that willingness to jump in and help wherever needed.
It's about showing those moments where you went above and beyond to support your team and reach that shared goal. Now, before we get to the next question, I want to touch on something we mentioned earlier, those AI tools from RoleCatcher. They can be a game changer when it comes to tailoring your answers for the job you're after, right? Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description and pinpoint those keywords and phrases that the employer really cares about. Then it suggests ways to sprinkle those keywords into your answers, highlighting those skills and experiences that are most relevant to the specific role.
So it's like having a personal guide to make sure your answers hit the bullseye and really impress the hiring manager.
Exactly. It helps you showcase what you bring to the table in a way that aligns perfectly with what the employer is looking for. And it gets even better. RoleCatcher's AI also gives you feedback on your answers, helping you spot areas where you can be clearer, more concise, and just have a bigger impact.
Sounds like a must-have for anyone who wants to stand out and make a killer first impression. Okay, back to those interview questions. This next one is all about your career aspirations. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's a classic, but how do you answer it in a way that shows ambition and that you're serious about a career in printing?
This is where you show them that you're not just there for a temporary gig. You're thinking long-term about your career path. It's okay to talk about those leadership roles you might want down the line, but make sure to emphasize your commitment to always learning and growing within the printing industry.
So instead of saying, I want to be a supervisor, you could talk about your desire to become a specialist in a specific type of printing, or your eagerness to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to new technology.
Spot on. You can even mention specific professional development goals like getting those industry certifications or attending those awesome conferences and workshops. This proves to the interviewer that you're invested in your growth and ready to contribute to the printing world in a big way.
Now, I know we've been laser focused on the interview itself, but let's circle back to RoleCatcher's career guide for a sec. This guide is packed with insights about the Gravure printing industry and all those career paths, right?
It is. It covers everything from trends in the industry and what you can expect to earn to the different types of companies that are hiring. It's a goldmine of information if you want to really understand what a career in this field looks like.
And something that jumped out at me was the idea of specializing.
Yeah.
You can really niche down and become a master in a specific area of gravure printing.
Totally. You could focus on packaging printing, publication printing, or even zero in on a specific type of press or printing technique. Becoming a specialist in something you love can make you a super valuable asset to employers and unlock some cool career opportunities.
So it's about finding your passion within the world of gravure printing and becoming a true expert in that area. Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to talk about a question that can sometimes be awkward. What are your salary expectations? This one can be tricky to handle.
It can be, but with a little bit of prep, you can tackle it with confidence. The secret is to do your research. Use resources like RoleCatcher's Career Guide, online salary surveys, industry publications, all that good stuff, to get an idea of the typical salary range for Gravure Press Operators in your area and with your level of experience.
So go into the interview knowing what you're worth in the marketplace.
Precisely. And when you're talking about your salary expectations, be clear, be concise, but also be open to a little bit of negotiation. Remember, they're looking for someone who's not only skilled, but also reasonable and professional.
Great advice. All right, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive, from tackling those interview questions to exploring different career paths and even navigating those salary conversations. But there's still more to come. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and strategies to help you seal the deal and land that dream job. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Gravure Press Operators. We've covered a lot of ground, from how to answer those tricky interview questions to exploring those different career paths and salary expectations. Now, for this final part, let's focus on some last-minute tips and strategies that can help you seal the deal and land that dream job.
One thing that I think a lot of people forget about is asking those thoughtful questions at the end of the interview. It's your chance to really show that you're truly interested in the company and the position.
It's almost like you get to interview them a little bit. But what kind of questions should we be asking? What's really going to impress them?
Instead of just asking those generic questions like, what's the company culture like? Try to dig a little deeper. For example, you could ask about specific projects the team is working on. You could ask about the company's approach to sustainability and printing, or even ask about their vision for the future of gravure technology.
I like that.
Those kinds of questions really show you've done your homework and you're thinking beyond just the basics.
Asking those smart questions definitely shows you're engaged and ready to learn. Now, I know we've talked a lot about RoleCatcher's AI tools throughout this whole deep dive, but how can those tools help us in those final moments before the interview?
Well, RoleCatcher's AI can actually take a look at the job description and suggest some company-specific questions that are tailored to that exact role and organization.
Hmm.
This is a great way to stand out and show the interviewer that you've gone the extra mile to really understand what they're looking for.
It's like having that secret weapon that can really impress them with your preparation and how much you've thought about it. Okay, so let's talk about following up after the interview. Is sending a thank you note still a thing?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic way to reiterate your interest in the position and remind them of your awesome qualifications.
Okay.
But don't just send a generic email, personalize it. Mention a specific thing that you talked about during the interview to show them you're really listening.
Yeah, so maybe reference a project they mentioned or a skill you're excited to develop further. It's those little things that make a big difference. Now, before we wrap up, I want to go back to something we talked about earlier, showcasing that passion for printing.
Yes. Enthusiasm is contagious, and it can make a huge impact on how the interviewer sees you. So while you're getting ready, think about what makes you love gravure printing.
Yeah.
Is it the technical challenge, the creative freedom, the feeling of seeing that final product come to life? Whatever it is, let that passion shine through in your answers.
Show them you're not just clocking in and out. You're there to contribute to something you really care about. And speaking of showcasing your best self, those AI tools from RoleCatcher can actually give you feedback on your interview delivery, right?
They can. The AI takes a look at your video recordings and gives you insights on things like your tone of voice, your pacing, body language, even if you're using too many filler words. It's basically like having a virtual coach help you polish those presentation skills and really project confidence.
It's amazing what technology can do these days. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive, and I really feel like we've given our listeners everything they need to tackle this interview with confidence and clarity.
Absolutely. Remember, preparing for an interview is kind of like prepping for a performance. You've got to know your stuff, practice your delivery, and just be authentic and enthusiastic. And with those incredible resources from RoleCatcher, you can tailor your entire approach to that specific company and role, giving you that edge to really stand out.
So to our listener who's gearing up for that Gravure Press Operator interview, we say go in there, show them what you've got, showcase your skills and your passion, and prove to them you're the perfect fit for their team. We know you're going to make a great impression. Good luck.